Jonquel Jones will jump it up with Latoya Sanders. Now we're officials Roy Gobein, Byron Jarrett, and Cheryl Flores. And the 2019 WNBA Finals are underway. The Mystics win the tip. 14-3 at home in the regular season. 2-0 in the semifinals against Vegas. A corner three is good. And that's a good early sign for Ariel Atkins in Washington.
You see right away the way Washington moves the basketball. How many players touch the basketball in the first possession. Atkins struggled with her shooting in the semifinals. She said, Ryan, huge bucket.
Here's Alyssa Thomas, who's a pull. Looked like she might have gotten hit. No call, instead of turnover. Atkins, to Rebecca's point, shot just 18% from three in the semifinals. Tolliver step back three, too strong, long rebound, settles with Washington. Deladon is short, and that rebound tilts out of bounds to Connecticut. Washington Mystics, perhaps the greatest offensive team we have ever seen in a WNBA regular season. By far and away first in offensive efficiency. As Courtney Williams rattles one in. That is not normally one of the stronger parts of her game, but a welcome sight for Connecticut.
She shoots a really good percentage from three, but just doesn't take a lot of them. She has really elevated her play throughout the course of the WNBA playoffs.
That was something Washington coach Mike Thibault pointed out to us as well. He said, looking at Connecticut and why they're playing their best basketball, it's Courtney Williams elevating. Sanders leans in, can't get the roll, and the rebound out of bounds off of Connecticut. Another chance for Washington.
Courtney Williams looking for her offense. A little handoff, defender gets caught behind. The next level for her game. Like I said, very good percentage-wise from the three-point line. Just has hesitated to take many from out there. She needs to.
Williams averaged 19 points, just under 9 rebounds, and 5 assists in the semis. As Atkins gets another to drop.
One-on-one defender, Shakina Strickland, is probably Connecticut's weakest on the perimeter, and Washington right away is looking to attack her with Atkins.
Meanwhile, it's Tolliver who guards Strickland on this end. Deladon gets Jonquel Jones. Jones picked up the dribble, shot clock down to 4. Williams going to have to create. Shot clock at 1. Williams didn't get it off in time, and a shot clock violation.
Kurt Miller telling us before the game how important it is for Connecticut to establish Jonquel Jones in the paint. They tried to do it on the last possession. Nothing came of it. Good help and recover by Washington.
Kurt Miller, one of 4 coaches in WNBA history to win at least 20 games in 3 of his first 4 seasons. And Mike Thibault, the head coach of the Washington Mystics, the winningest coach in league history, but still seeking his first title. The clock is down to 5. Atkins goes cross court. Tolliver got loose and makes Connecticut pay.
Washington can just spread you out so effectively because they have 5 players on the floor who can hit shots. Sanders the only one who doesn't take threes.
And that's going to be a foul in the backcourt against Alyssa Thomas. Kurt Miller was very upset that Jasmine Thomas did not get a whistle against Elena Deladon on that drive.
Elena Deladon doesn't foul. She played in 31 games this regular season and committed 32 fouls. I think Kurt Miller feels she's a bit protected. She also just knows how to stay in there and contest shots without allowing contact.
Here's Cloud, gets the angle and an easy deuce. A 7-0 Washington run. Jonquel Jones buries the 3.
I love it. 6'5" Elena Deladon shooting threes. 6'6" Jonquel Jones shooting threes.
Here's Tolliver, drew a few, finds Deladon, and that is going to be cash anytime she gets it. Deladon, the first ever WNBA player to join the 50-40-90 club. Jones, the switch on Tolliver, and can't hit the leaner, knocked out of bounds off of Thomas.
Elena Delle Donne so efficient and ready to shoot every time she catches the basketball. And if she has any kind of space, as you said, Ryan, it's money.
One of the things Kurt Miller talked about as well is he said Washington is so efficient. They are so good offensively. You have to make sure you don't all of a sudden change everything you're doing because they just are doing what they're doing. It can be demoralizing. You can't let it demoralize you and get you out of your game plan because they will go on runs. Thomas comes up with a steal. 3-on-2. Thomas leaves it to Strickland, who fingertips it in.
That's when Connecticut is at its best, is when they can get the ball, Alyssa Thomas, whether it's off a turnover or a defensive board, and she can lead the charge the other way.
Connecticut was number 1 in the league in fast break points this season. Washington allowed the fewest with Delle Donne. Just found a little crevice of space, and that was enough.
And she got that space because of the Sanders screen.
Washington is hit 3 of 6 from deep in the first 4 minutes and 45 seconds of this opening quarter. Williams able to connect over the elevation of Delle Donne.
You will see Connecticut involve Elena Delle Donne on ball screens, hope to get the switch, and they like that matchup with Williams going against her.
Cloud is trapped, nearly threw it away. Instead, Atkins alone again.
Connecticut has tried a couple times to run a trap at the ball handler. Both times, Washington has been effective reversing sides of the floor with the ball and getting open threes.
Williams along two. She knew she missed it and followed it up beautifully. Atkins with 8 first-quarter points after a quiet semifinals. Jasmine Thomas cans the jumper.
One thing that's interesting is that this team, both of these teams, players 1 through 5 are cross-matched. Not a single player on one end of the floor is guarding the player who is guarding her on the other end.
How difficult is that to then find your player that you're supposed to be defending?
In transition, it is very difficult. Much easier when things slow down in the half court.
Thomas barreling in, dishing out. Nice look to Williams. She got it. On a 3, a beautiful touch pass from Jonquel Jones.
As the lights have gotten brighter this postseason, Courtney Williams has gotten better and bigger.
8 points for Williams in this first, and tremendous rhythm basketball from both teams as Jones is called for the foul, and we'll have our first stoppage. Washington out to an 18-15 lead, but Courtney Williams piping hot.
She has stepped up big in this postseason, ready if she needs to put her team on her shoulders.
With their high offensive efficiency, Washington is a team that can go on runs. How has your team responded to that?
We just got to stay calm. A lot of teams panic when they go on these runs. And for us, it's just continuing doing what we do and tightening up on defense.
You're defending Elena Delle Donne. What are the keys so far to being in her space?
Just got to stay there. It means she's going to make tough shots, and we just got to keep going at them.
Thank you.
Elena Delle Donne is going to make shots, and you just heard Alyssa Thomas say it. You just have to make them a little bit more difficult.
Sanders traveled, and that's the 3rd turnover in this first quarter for Washington, which is a little uncharacteristic. They turned over by far the least amount in the WNBA this season.
11.5 turnovers a game, and the one game they lost in semifinals to Vegas, it's because they turned the ball over. That played a really big part.
Emma Mieseman in for Washington, coming off her incredible semifinal series. Thomas the pirouette and the finish off the window.
Mieseman in on Alyssa Thomas. Connecticut immediately goes to her and lets her attack the basket.
Here is Tolliver playing a little pick and roll with Mieseman, ridden off by Strickland. 2 defenders following her. Connecticut able to recover after the double. Tolliver on the drive, finds an open Delle Donne, short, and Jones secures the rebound for Connecticut.
What a great pass, though, by Christy Tolliver to get that deep and find 3.
18-17, Washington in front as Williams misfired, but then flags it down again. She is a tremendous rebounding guard.
The best small rebounding guard in the league.
Williams into the lane, trying to find space, trying to shuffle it over to Jones, and a 3-second violation is called against Connecticut.
As soon as Connecticut sees Mieseman on Alyssa Thomas, they attack her. This is what Alyssa Thomas does so well. We'll see it a couple times per game. A little spin over the shoulder and finish at the rim.
Thomas, a two-time All-Star. One of the toughest players in this league. And Kurt Miller also calls her their best defender. Eastman squeezes it out. Good movement here from Washington. 5 to shoot. Sanders, the leaner, is good.
It's got to be really important for Sanders to hit that shot. She is being defended by John Cole Jones, but right now Jones is roaming and helping and doubling off of Sanders.
Washington shooting it at 61.5% in this first as Jones turns it over. Here comes Cloud in transition to the left.
Lazy pass, one end, terrific push and finish the other.
Natasha Cloud was the player Kurt Miller called the key to this series, that we have to slow her down. And Thomas travels back-to-back turnovers from Connecticut.
Both of these teams thrive when they can turn you over one way and then push it the other way. Just a lazy pass. And Cloud, seeing the shot blocker coming behind her, finishes on the other side of the rim.
Now, Connecticut has not subbed yet. Washington sends in their second. Ariel Powers into the game, out there for Natasha Cloud. Connecticut rides their starting five with big-time minutes. Alyssa Thomas told us she is prepared to play all 40. Emma Meeseman off one leg. The feathery touch.
That's a tough guard for Shakina Strickland because she's giving up some size in that matchup. Meeseman takes advantage.
Thomas turns it over. Washington turning up the D. 3 straight turnovers forced from the Mystics. Deladon, a deep touch, and the finish. An 8-0 Washington run and a timeout taken by Connecticut. If you turn it over, the Mystics will make you pay, and they have late in this first against Connecticut. Don't miss your chance to catch your favorite players' teams and the continued WNBA Finals action in person. Get your tickets today at WNBA.com/tickets. For the Washington Mystics on an 8-0 run, and they have taken advantage of Connecticut turnovers. 7 turnovers in the quarter from the Sun. Washington has scored 11 points off of them as Williams misses the bunny. Thomas couldn't bang it in, and it's out of bounds off of Connecticut, and it looked like Deladon might have gotten away with it over the back.
Yeah, I thought she did. And Connecticut was relentless on the offensive glass in the semifinals against LA, and they've gotten there a few times here, especially Courtney Williams, but you know they are going to continue to attack the glass on the offensive end.
Deladon, 7 points in this first. Meeseman attacking Morgan Tuck, finds the open Sanders, and that's the shot you're talking about.
Connecticut now has made a sub, Morgan Tuck. She's in the game so that they can match up with Washington's bigger lineup. But yes, the help off of Sanders, she drains it.
Thomas took that early. Shot clock was turned off, and Thomas, for some reason, fired it with 11 seconds left in the quarter. Tolliver trying to make them pay. She does! And that'll do it for the first quarter. It looked like Thomas didn't even realize the clock was running out. Perhaps Connecticut a bit frazzled as Washington throws a right hook at the end of the first, a 12-0 run. The Washington Mystics, an offensive juggernaut. They certainly look like one in quarter number 1 of Game 1 of these finals.
The WNBA Finals 2019 is presented by YouTube TV. And AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
That was the difference right there in that stretch. A few turnovers. They switched a matchup, and we didn't take advantage of it. They won that chess match, and we can't worry about fouls. They just played 10 minutes without a foul. We're now up into the 70 minutes without Adela Dawn fouling us this year. Almost 70 minutes, but we know she doesn't foul, right?
Coach, what's the matchup that they've switched up that you want to take advantage of?
Well, they're putting standards. They're putting their 5 on the point guard, and then they're able to switch things in the middle. So we got to take a look at that.
Thank you, Coach.
Now Deladon draws a foul there as Morgan Tuck is called for the personal, and Deladon will shoot 2. I think Kurt Miller's not thrilled with the lack of fouls against Elena Deladon. And that was the over-the-back that clearly was a foul that wasn't called, and instead it was out of bounds off of Morgan Tuck.
And this was a Washington team that led the league in terms of fewest fouls per game on the season. It's a team that generally does not foul a lot. Of course, that one should have been called.
Deladon shooting the first free throws of this game for either team. She is just a mind-blowingly good free throw shooter. In her playoff career now, she's 129 for 134. That's near 97%. Tuck on the drive, bangs it in.
Connecticut, last 2 possessions, trying to play through Jonquel Jones in the post. They've been able to effectively do that. We saw them effective doing that in the LA series as well, in particular in Game 3.
Aerial Powers gets the step. Tuck blocks it from behind. Here comes Williams. Finding Tuck. Sends herself up. Way short on a 3. Thomas cleaning it up. Puts it in the foul. And Alyssa Thomas a chance for a 3-point play.
Take a look at Alyssa Thomas. I mean, she is relentless inside. She is so strong. We talked early. Connecticut attacks the offensive glass. They were the best this season doing it. Now it's always a crapshoot when Alyssa Thomas goes to the line, whether or not it's going to go in.
As Holly Road has detailed for us in the past, Alyssa Thomas has a torn labrum in each of her 2 shoulders, so her free throw shooting has just fallen off the table over the last couple of seasons. She was under 50% this year. It's hard for her to extend her arms because of those tears. Here comes Thomas. Jones, no look in the corner. It's home. It's off on a 3 on the glass. Excellent box out from Deladon. Deladon, Cloud, Powers out there, along with Mieseman. Walker Kimbrough for Washington. As Mieseman turns it over, 3-on-2 developing. Thomas trying to force it, and she has not looked poised thus far as Tuck commits the foul in transition.
Really smart foul by Morgan Tuck because Walker Kimbrough had a head full of steam going the other way. But yes, I mean, just nice defense, Walker Kimbrough. But again, Tuck here. That was a sure layup going the other way. Smart foul. Every time Emma Mieseman puts the ball on the floor, she's surrounded. Connecticut is attacking that, and she has not handled it great so far.
Mieseman averaged 21 points on 59% shooting and 65% from 3 in Washington's semifinal win over Vegas. Mieseman puts it on the floor that time, couldn't finish, and Thomas able to scrape away the rebound. Thomas, a locomotive in transition, and still the footwork to finish.
She says in transition, I'm either going to go through you or Euro step around you. We saw the Euro.
Powers, a little hesitation, and then the make from 3.
Ariel Powers has been huge for Washington all season long. Had some really big moments in their semifinal wins against Vegas.
Has been a low 30s3-point percent shooter, up to 36% this year. As Jones gets the whistle on Mieseman, and Jonquel Jones will shoot 2.
One of the best facilitating forwards in the WNBA. Alyssa Thomas can corral the defensive board and push it the other way. Nothing you can do defensively. You're ready to take the charge, and she sidesteps you. Pretty stuff.
Thomas, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists thus far. as Jones hits the first. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
One of the things that Connecticut Sun coach Kurt Miller told us before the game is he was concerned that Washington, they go on these big runs, they outscore teams, and then they blow the game open. He wondered, could his team stay together, not start infighting, not start getting fractious with each other, and withstand those big runs? And I think the answer so far is yes. 2 different times in this game, they've threatened to pull away, and each and every time the Connecticut Sun has answered. There is his question of a concern he has.
It's a great point, Holly, as Meeseman lays it in on a gorgeous delivery from Cloud. And Washington is shooting it at 65% in this first half. Just incredible. Lob inside, and a foul is called against Washington. The WNBA Finals 2019 continue Tuesday night with Game 2 at 8 p.m. on ESPN. It's the Sun versus the Mystics. Then Game 3 is Sunday, October 6th, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. A Game 4, if necessary, would be Tuesday, October 8th in Connecticut. And a Game 5 will be back here in Washington on Thursday, October 10th. Emma Meeseman, 2 fouls. She checks out for Washington as Thomas is off. And good battle on the floor as Jones went after it, and then a jump ball called as Holmes locks up Deladon.
Both teams all over it. They understand what is at stake here. And you know, again, Connecticut's going to attack. Elena Deladon getting on the ground. Great job by Brianna Jones as well.
Am I wrong, or does Jasmine Thomas look a little frazzled so far in this first half?
She does not look like the same player we saw in the semifinals, especially the one we saw in Game 3.
Scored 29 points in that Game 3, a playoff career high.
And her decision-making was terrific in the semifinal series. Here, it has not been such.
Even that, although the shot clock was fading, but just way short on that attempt.
She's exerting a ton of energy on the defensive end of the floor once again in this series.
Powers brings great energy off the bench for Washington. That time somehow able to save it to Cloud. Cloud gets denied by Holmes and Jones. 8 to shoot for Washington.
Connecticut is going to flood the lane defensively. They do not want to give up 2s, and here, nice job by Holmes to block that shot.
Timeout called by Mike Tebow. Washington, a 10-point first-half lead in Game 1 on their home floor here in these 2019 WNBA Finals. Mo Wagner, the Wizards center, taking in the action. John Wall as well, here to support the Washington Mystics, who have really enjoyed the atmosphere here at their new home, Entertainment and Sports Arena, where they actually only have lost 2 games this year. Their other home loss came at Verizon Center on Kids Day, and what a save there from Holmes. And now in transition, start the motors and end it with a bunny.
Connecticut is so good when they can go end to end like that. Explosive, going from one end to the offensive end.
Pocket pass to Hawkins. She hits the jumper.
She's been great all season long. Tiana Hawkins has been off the bench. Another big who can come in and stretch the floor and hit from 3.
Shot it at 51% from the floor during the regular season. Thomas gets the angle and finishes.
When she gets a head full of steam because of her frame and how strong she is, it's hard to defend her one-on-one.
9 points for Thomas, who also has 3 assists, 2 rebounds, and an offensive foul called against Washington, and Mike Tebow none too pleased.
And we've seen this a couple times this game, end to end, how explosive they are, in particular when Alyssa Thomas gets the basketball in the middle of the floor. We talked about Jasmine Thomas's struggles, well now she'll watch her a little bit. Rookie Natisha Heidemann in the game, running the point.
Herb Miller says Heidemann is fearless, as Thomas could not quite squeeze that pass into Jones. Deladon dips inside. Her leader is good. Plus the foul. A chance for 3 for the MVP.
Elena Deladon is undeterred. When she gets her eyes on the rim, see how quickly she squares her shoulders? She never takes her eyes off the rim. Doesn't matter, player in front of her, player behind her. The concentration impeccable, as is her free throw form most of the time.
Led the league this year at 97.5% from the line. And no surprise, she's 3 for 3 so far today. 12 points in 14 minutes for Deladon, playing in her third finals, seeking her first win. That's a long two. It rattles in for Holmes.
How about the confidence, though, from Bria Holmes? That's not an easy shot.
She has been the best weapon off the bench this season for the Connecticut Sun.
Move it.
Deladon, guarded by Thomas. Dips inside and banks it in. Looked like Thomas was more concerned with getting an offensive foul call. Eidemann finds space and splashes it. Christy Tolliver wearing a mic for us. You can really hear the beautiful ambient pounds on the floor. And then the setup of Cloud on the three.
That's an area where Natasha Cloud has improved. Her consistent ability to hit three-point shots.
It's a 12-point Washington lead. They've had a comfortable margin since their run at the end of the first, as Thomas gets that to drop.
Connecticut recognizing the mismatch guard onto Thomas every time. Thomas will have the advantage in the paint.
11 points for Thomas, who's 5 of 5. Atkins started this game hot, gets the foul on Bria Holmes.
Because of screening action and switching again. Cloud ends up on Alyssa Thomas. Cloud is an outstanding defender, but physically just cannot match Alyssa Thomas in the paint.
Now, one of the common themes we heard from Washington talking to Mike Thibault and his players yesterday was just how calm they feel this year. Said, we know what to expect. We've been here before. And last year, Mike Thibault said, going into the finals, we looked at Seattle and said, wow, the Storm players, they cause a lot of problems. This year, we know people are looking at us saying, we cause a lot of problems. So far, they've caused plenty of them. A 12-point first half lead. Timeout taken by Connecticut. Coming up on the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm, join Holly Rowe with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. We'll have highlights of the first half and much more. Let's check in with Holly right now.
Kurt Miller calling that timeout for the Connecticut Sun, and he's frustrated in the huddle right now. He said the whole plan we talked about starting this game was to switch and get size at the rim. He said, why can't we do it? We've gone nearly 7 minutes without following that game plan. All I ask of you is to switch, get size at the rim, fly around. He's also asking them to cut harder. He said, if we cut, our action will cause reaction. That's what we need right now.
The last offensive possession, they got Washington to switch and got size at the rim. Imagine that, Holly Rowe.
And it resulted in Alyssa Thomas's 6th field goal in 6 attempts. 13 points in this first half. And, you know, to a certain degree, that's what Kurt Miller was talking to us about before the game, that the way Washington plays can be intimidating to the point that it throws you off your game plan quickly as an opponent.
You have to stick with, in many cases, what you game planned with the top. Coming into the game, great take by Christy Tolliver. Yeah, you're going to have a plan B and a plan C, but you can't abandon plan A right away.
Tolliver now with 7 points, 3 assists. Strickland harassed by Atkins. Here is Thomas trying to take Sanders. A good look for Strickland. Too strong. Rebound Atkins. Cloud wheeling, dealing. Deladon.
Look at the spacing on the floor for Washington.
Oh, baby, fuck.
And Sanders traveled. Ninth turnover for Washington. Perhaps seeing a little bit of those game one of the finals jitters for both teams. 10 turnovers for Connecticut, 9 for Washington. And for both teams, that is uncharacteristic. Williams connects on another three. She has 13 points in this first half, and she's 3 of 3 from deep. Atkins pull-up is good. Ariel Atkins, 4 of 4 from the floor.
She's really come to play. She looks terrific so far in this game.
As a rookie last year, she averaged 19 through the first 2 games of the finals. As Thomas is just going Tim Duncan on the window, 7 of 7 from the floor. Tolliver off one leg, no. Chance for Connecticut with Tolliver down in the backcourt. Williams pull-up 3. Jones comes shying in, and a foul called against who? As Jones is shaken up.
As soon as the shot left Courtney Williams' hands, Jonquil Jones just sprinted towards the rim.
Foul called against Jones. Connecticut over the limit, so free throws for Washington.
A lot of contact. Yeah, you see Atkins land on Jonquil Jones' ankle, but she's walking the other way, looking all right.
Both of these teams have shot it sensationally in this first half. Washington shooting just under 68%. Connecticut over 61% from the floor. You see Atkins is up her game. This is the YouTube TV Try It free throw. Watch WNBA games and 70-plus live channels when you try YouTube TV for free at tvyoutube.com. Ariel Atkins, 14 points in this first half. She sat for huge chunks of that semifinal series. She was struggling so mightily. Not the case thus far in game one of the finals. Williams trying to evade her, and bunny hops into a deuce.
As Jonquil Jones was rolling down the rim, that took Elena Deladon out as a help side defender. Williams right on her back to get that look at the 2.
15 points for Courtney Williams. Final 40 seconds of the first half. 3 to shoot. Tolliver, difficult look. Sanders, the offensive rebound. Tolliver, a better look. Off the mark, Jones secures. And Connecticut can hold for 1, and that's what Jasmine Thomas is trying to indicate to Courtney Williams, and now she gets the message.
But this is the player, late shot clock, or late clock that they want to have the basketball. Courtney Williams on-ball screen.
5 to shoot. Williams down by Atkins. Washington had one to give. And that is the first on Ariel Atkins. .3 seconds remaining in the half. Shot clock turned off.
You might have to switch, Todd.
Jasmine Thomas. Will she get it off? She does! And cannot hit. That will do it for the first half of game one. Both teams shoot it well, but the Mystics an edge from beyond the arc and at the free throw line. And it's the top-seeded Washington Mystics who have a 9-point lead going into halftime. As we check in with Holly Rowe.
Here with Elena Deladon. And Elena, starting game one of the finals here at home, how different is this feel with this crowd in your team right now?
It feels great. It's great to have home court advantage. They're a great team, so it helps having our 6th man on our side.
The series with Connecticut was so long ago in June. How do you assess how you guys are playing them so far and the adjustments that you've been able to make?
We're doing well on offense, moving the ball, sharing the ball, but defensively we can't just continue to trade baskets. They're too good a team to allow that.
And quickly, Ariel Atkins, how do you describe her impact?
She's a monster and she's come alive. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Elena Deladon, 14 points in that first half. Same for Atkins. Our score at the half. Washington 55, Connecticut 46. Stay tuned for the WNBA Halftime Report presented by State Farm. It's coming up right after these messages. Welcome back to the WNBA Finals 2019 presented by YouTube TV. Get ready to start the third quarter. And Washington a 55-46 lead on the Connecticut Sun. Hey, everybody, Ryan Bruco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Both teams just shot it unbelievably well in that first half, but Washington led by Elena Deladon and Ariel Atkins.
Yeah, welcome back, Ariel Atkins. She really struggled in the semifinals, only averaged 4.5 points a game. Well, she could not miss here in the first half, 4 for 4. And the way she can help stem the defense by hitting the three-point shot, and you also see her attacking at the rim. And on the front court, the player who's been here all along, Elena Deladon, once again spectacular. It doesn't matter how many people are around her feet. She's been able to finish, leading the charge once again as the MVP.
Take a look at those first half stats. Washington shooting it at 64%, Connecticut at 61%. It was Connecticut who dominated the paint. The biggest difference, if you want to end up looking at it and trying to parse through, a couple more threes for Washington and 5 more makes at the free throw line. Those 55 points for the Mystics, third most in a first half in WNBA Finals history. So now the Connecticut Sun down 9 in a building that's very tough to play. What kind of adjustments do you need to see from the Sun here in this third quarter, Rebecca?
Well, I think on the offensive end, they need to make sure they have the right people taking the shots at the right moment. So Alyssa Thomas was spectacular in the first half. She didn't miss. Courtney Williams made good decisions. I think a key for Connecticut, Jasmine Thomas. They need her to return to the form we saw in Game 3 against Los Angeles, where her decision-making was right on point. And for Washington, they've done such a great job spreading the floor, getting their driving lanes, moving the ball around. Could be a matter this second half. Who just gets more attempts? Who forces turnovers? Who gets more offensive rebounds? Because for the most part, offensively, it was evenly matched.
The 62% combined field goal percentage, a WNBA Finals record in a half. Just incredible offensive basketball from Connecticut and Washington in the first 2 quarters of these WNBA Finals. Third quarter of Game 1 underway. Connecticut starting 5. A lot of cohesion, but Williams turns it over, and Washington trying to give it back as Thomas and Atkins will jump it up.
Washington knew what Connecticut was going to run there. They knew they were going to try to get the ball into Jonquel Jones. They have Sanders kind of playing a rover in the middle defensively, helping off of Alyssa Thomas, and that's one of the things that led to the turnover. Great defense by Washington.
And Ariel Atkins, in her second year, has already been on the all-defensive second team 2 times. Thomas and Atkins to jump, and Thomas wins the tip. No harm, no foul for Connecticut. Here's Williams with 15 in the first half. She'll take a 3. Alyssa Thomas on the offensive glass. Couldn't put it back in. Nice defensive stand by Sanders. Oliver nearly lost it. Good movement here. Deladon. Jonquel Jones steps into a triple too strong. I feel like we've seen more missed shots this half than we had all first half.
It feels like that, right?
Atkins, an open look. No. Well, to give you an idea, I mean, just how good the shooting was, there were 20 total rebounds in the first half. 10 from each team. We've already had 5 here in this third quarter. Tolliver, no rebound there. She gets fouled by Jasmine Thomas. And Christy Tolliver will shoot two.
Great hesitation by Tolliver when she turns the corner just enough. Alyssa Thomas doesn't stay quite long enough. Christy Tolliver described her game to us yesterday as shifty. That was a shifty play.
And Holly Rowe, Christy Tolliver still battling that bone bruise in her knee.
That's right. And I love what Rebecca just said as she turned the corner. Obviously, in her last game, she was playing with a bigger, bulkier knee brace. She did not like it. She shed that knee brace because it was inhibiting her movement. I talked to her before the game, and she said she's going with this slimmer lying sleeve that still adds some padding and protection around her knee. But I've seen her twice in this game cut hard at the free throw line and roll to the basket. That is new from what we've seen from Christy Tolliver out the last couple of weeks.
Williams turns it over. Atkins might have gotten it from behind. Clown burrows in. Not a lot of space this time for Washington, but then Atkins able to put it on the floor and get around Strickland.
Continues to attack that matchup. Continues to attack Shakina Strickland off the bounce, and she's been effective doing so.
And just to go back to Tolliver for a moment, she said she really did not feel like herself wearing that brace, but once she shed it, felt like she was able to move better laterally, and you could see, if you watch the semis, how much thinner this brace is, as Tolliver, right on cue, buries the three. And Washington has its largest lead. It's 14.
The first half, when Washington got a lead and went on a run, Connecticut responded. We'll see what they can do here in the third.
Jonquel Jones playing with 3 fouls now, banks it in. The window work has been phenomenal from Connecticut in this game. Tolliver dips inside, 6 to shoot. Deladon gets fouled by Williams, and that's already going to be the third team foul against Connecticut in this third quarter.
Christy Tolliver, one of the most confident players you'll ever see, gets the defense leaning one way, hits the shot, and then Connecticut has tried to get the ball into the post to Jonquel Jones. Tremendous patience. She loves going over the right shoulder. She went over the left, and it was effective.
Deladon draws 2, 5 to shoot. Cloud will. 10. When you double, Washington will make you pay. Jasmine Thomas swooping in, nowhere close on the attempted layup. And Thomas is now 1 of 7 from the floor. Good look for Sanders. What a rejection from Jones.
What a recovery. Led the league, tied for the lead in block shots this season.
Good stroke from Strickland. Tolliver just trying to beat Connecticut down the floor, nearly did. Good job by Strickland to thwart the attempt. Not a lot of movement this possession, but I mean, Strickland just looked like she couldn't do anything but foul on an island against Atkins.
And we'll go back a couple possessions where you just see great ball movement. Elena Deladon's so good. She knows the double team's coming, has the patience, waits, gets it out to Cloud. And Ryan, we've talked about it. Atkins has the quickness advantage in that one-on-one matchup. And whenever she's gotten the ball and recognized Strickland on her, she has taken advantage of it.
So how do you counter that if you're Connecticut?
1, you can sub, or 2, you can send a little help early. It's just hard because so many players for Washington can score from the perimeter. Who do you help off of?
And Connecticut is used to playing huge minutes with this 5 on the floor together. Williams in the corner misfires. This 5 has played more minutes together than any group of 5 players in a single season in WNBA history. Cloud, an open look. No. Sanders keeps it alive. Deladon spinning, taking, and getting the whistle. And Deladon is going to shoot a pair. So when we talk about subbing Shekinna Strickland, that is not something Kurt Miller is used to having to do. The Sun, just one of 4 teams in WNBA history to use the same starting lineup in every game, and those 5 play huge minutes together throughout the game.
And teams throughout the season will look to exploit if they have a quicker guard being defended by Shekinna Strickland. I'm interested to see here, okay, now they've gone with the bigger lineup. Does that benefit Strickland? Yeah, she can probably defend a little bit better against Emma Miesemann. Will Kurt Miller roll with it? Will he bring Morgan Tuck back in the game like he did in the first half?
Delle Donne, predictably 5 of 5 from the line. Washington is 13 of 13 as a team. They set a WNBA record this season as they shot it over 87% as a team. Thomas, deep catch, and she gets a whistle.
Great job by Thomas recognizing Sanders, the center, was defending Thomas, the point guard, and elevating so she could get the pass into Thomas inside.
Thomas, 15 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. She's 7 of 8 from the floor. Hits her first free throw. Move game 2, the best of 5, all East Coast WNBA Finals Tuesday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. It's the Sun of the Mystics as the series continues Tuesday night here on ESPN.
First ever all East Coast.
That's right.
Finals.
This is the 4th year of no conferences in the playoffs. First 2 years were Minnesota, LA. Last year was Seattle, Washington. And this year, Washington, Connecticut. So instead of frequent flyer miles, it's Amtrak points for this crew.
That's right. So that time with Strickland on Emma Miesemann, there's a cross screen trying to get Emma Miesemann into the post. Already in the bonus.
Yeah, that's the 3rd foul on Strickland and already the 6th of this 3rd quarter against Connecticut. Miesemann misses Washington's first free throw of the game.
Belgium, Messi for Belgium.
You heard that a lot in shoot-around yesterday. Whenever Miesemann was taking a shot in the drills. For Belgium, for Belgium.
Emma Miesemann, a star in Belgium. As Jasmine Thomas finally gets with a drop. Just 2 of 8 from the floor now. 14-point Washington lead. Mystics have played much tougher defense in this 3rd quarter than we saw in the first half. Double comes. Tolliver elevates and hits. Tolliver with 14 points.
Look how hard Sanders has to work on the defensive end of the floor. She picks up full court. Sometimes she's defending Thomas, Alyssa Thomas, who gets the shot there. Sometimes she's on the point guard Thomas. I mean, the effort she is exerting.
Timeout on the floor. 4:17 to go in this 3rd quarter. Washington by 16.
We've seen Christy Tolliver hit big shots in big moments. 3rd quarter. That could be her time, too.
The WNBA Finals 2019 is presented by YouTube TV and Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Elena Delle Donne made the finals in 2014, her 2nd year with Chicago, swept by the Mercury. Then last season, after being hobbled in the semifinals, played gimpy against the Storm, and her team again swept in the finals. But Delle Donne and the Mystics back here this year, and so far looking good to get Delle Donne her first win in a finals game. A 16-point lead in the 3rd quarter in Holly Rowe. Overall, Elena Delle Donne's basketball journey really is an incredible story.
It is. You know, she was one of the nation's top recruits coming out of high school, a childhood prodigy, if you will. went to UConn and was expecting big things, but after a short stay on campus, went home in the middle of the night, missed her family too much. Her sister with special needs that she needed to be around to communicate and touch with. And she said, you know, I didn't have that love for basketball I needed. She stayed away from the game for over a year, ended up playing volleyball at Delaware where she became an all-conference performer, but slowly and surely missed the game. Came back, played her last 2 seasons at Delaware for Tina Martin and became one of the best players in the country. It's just amazing that she has fallen back in love with this game. Her love and joy of the game is showing right now, and it's lifting her teammates around her.
I mean, she's been spectacular to watch, and her evolution, too, this season. An MVP, but understanding how important it is to have those around her succeeding, her willingness always to share the basketball. And we talked about it at the top of the broadcast, that, you know, this team loving to play with one another, wanting to win for one another and for their coach.
Mike Tebow, the winningest coach in WNBA history, but no finals wins as Thomas can't finish inside once or twice, rejecting the team of Mieseman and Deladon on the stop. Cloud throws it away. Here comes Thomas. This is where she's nearly unstoppable. In transition, she gets fouled and will shoot 2.
Connecticut's going to need a lot of that to really shrink this 15-point lead that Washington has. Turnovers one way, getting out in transition.
You know, to go back to the Mike Tebow angle of this series, he spent 10 years as the head coach of the Connecticut Sun. Did an unbelievable job, took them to the finals in 2004 and 2005. And talking to him yesterday, we said, okay, would it be sweeter to win your first finals against your former team? And he said, you know, yes. Would it be a little sweeter? Yes, it would. It probably would have been more of a motivating factor, though, a few years ago. He said, now, none of the players I coached are there. The front office has totally changed over. So it's not that same extra juice. But would it be a little bit sweeter? Yes. Beats him in. Somehow just able to create the angle.
Continue to pick on that matchup. When it's Atkins guarded by Shakina Strickland, she faces up and takes it at him. When it's Emma Mieseman, she posts up and uses her size.
Washington with a firm grip on this game. A 14-point lead after that layup from Jonquel Jones. Sanders, mid-range, no. Here comes Strickland rumbling through and laying it home. Back-to-back buckets from Connecticut. Washington is led by as many as 17. A little pick and pop with Sanders. Connecticut's going to live with that.
Absolutely. You've seen Jonquel Jones consistently leave Sanders to help defensively.
Strickland. Connecticut could have really used that one to drop. Mieseman attacks the matchup. Leaves it short. Nice box out by Strickland. Here comes Thomas. Jasmine Thomas buries the 3. And it's a single-digit game. Nice little jolt from the Connecticut Sun.
Connecticut on a 7-0 run. They've been looking for Jasmine Thomas to come alive. This certainly helps.
Washington Wizards head coach, and there's been such incredible shared interest between these two organizations. The way they root for each other and the support they've shown for each other. Tolliver, step back jumper is off, and Connecticut's starting to pile up some stops. Jasmine Thomas gets the angle and just blew the bunny. Had an open layup and just tossed it up way too strong. Williams, the deflection. 5-on-4 for the moment for Washington. Cloud hits the three.
Cloud left open in transition, and again, where she's really improved is her ability to consistently drain that perimeter shot.
And a 5-point swing from a missed open layup to a 3 on the other end, as Strickland has a chance for a 3-point play.
Courtney Williams, one of the best athletes in the league, tips the ball, but when she goes down, now you're in rotation if you're Connecticut, and Shakina Strickland just a second late to get to Natasha Cloud.
What do you want? Who you got? She got? What do you want? Huh? Messy? Finish that one, Messy.
Christy Tolliver trying to figure out from Mike Tebow who's coming out of this game and who's guarding who. And Tori Walker-Kimbrough checks in for Washington, and Strickland misses the free throw. We talked about how excellent Washington is from the line. Connecticut, meanwhile, shot at the lowest percentage of any WNBA team since 2011. 70% as a team. For Washington's near 88%. Good hands. Taken away. Tuck to Thomas. Thomas weaving, hopping, dishing. Thomas can't hit. And inside on the glass. Good work from Powers and Deladon. Shot clock turned off. 3 seconds left in the quarter. Tolliver trying to find space, cannot, and that will do it for the third quarter. Washington built a lead as large as 17. A stronger finish to the quarter from Connecticut. But a 10-point mountain remains for the Sun to try and climb. The Mystics, the double-digit lead heading to the fourth quarter of Game 1.
Welcome back to Washington, here with the Mystics head coach Mike Tebow. And coach, as well as you've played in this game, just a 10-point margin, what concerns you the most about that?
Concerns our bad offense the last 3 minutes of the quarter, getting kind of ball stripped in the middle of the lane, not reading the defense, and then we get Alyssa Thomas get run out because of it, and now we're on our heels. We've got to make them have to walk it up more than they got to in the end of that quarter.
You've really done a nice job taking advantage of that Shakina Strickland matchup. How do you do better with that?
Well, I mean, the problem is right now they're doubling it every time. So we're going to have to find the shooters on the weak side and knock down shots, make them pay for the double team.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
And Washington's poor defense / Connecticut's really good offense continues here. And this is what Connecticut will need to cut into this lead.
Foul against Aerial Powers.
Alyssa Thomas is a phenomenal defender, whether she's guarding players in the post or out on the perimeter, and you see her here. Aerial Powers is an explosive player. Great block by Alyssa Thomas.
Well, Thomas was second team all defense this year. Jonquil Jones, Jasmine Thomas, both first team. But head coach Kurt Miller says, make no mistake about it, Alyssa Thomas is our best defender. Williams just blew the bunny. Connecticut's had a couple of those to try and cut this to single digits, and they just have not finished.
Alyssa Thomas has played every minute of this game. Right now, Coach Tebow getting Christy Tolliver and Elena Deladon a break on the bench.
Good hands by Thomas, comes up with another steal. Thomas leading the charge, 5-on-2. Jasmine Thomas short on a 3, scrapped into the arms of Jasmine. A chance for Williams, that is good. And now it's a single-digit game.
As impressed as I've been with Washington, seemingly having control of this game throughout, Connecticut continues to have answers for these runs. What a rebound!
And that's a huge board from Emma Miesemann amongst 3 bodies, with Connecticut having a chance to creep closer.
Tuck tried to get her on her hip, but Miesemann just continued to attack. She was the only Washington player in the paint there, but comes up with the board.
Miesemann has been somewhat quiet this game after her explosive semifinals, but we've seen her come alive in fourth quarters. Maybe she will here.
Great patience. because in previous possessions she was getting trapped. That time it didn't come, and she had room to operate.
Her coaches and teammates constantly tell her to shoot the ball, as Strickland does so. And it's a 6-point contest. Strickland now in double figures, 11 points. And a foul against Tuck, trying to jockey with Neeseman.
Shakina Strickland will move on the offensive end, and they love to run stagger screens for her. You see her there. Tolliver barely gets caught up, but it's enough room for Strickland to drain it.
4th foul on Morgan Tuck just called. She is the only player in this game with more than 3 fouls. Neeseman, another chance to go at Tuck. Might have gotten away with a travel. Powers, way off on a 3, and here comes Connecticut. Thomas, 1-on-3. And that's going to be a charge. No, a block. The officials called it differently. One official said block, the other said charge.
Will they confer? Like, which one has the authority here?
Cheryl Flores called it a block. Roy Gobayan called it a charge. And now the officials are going to confer.
I thought it was a charge.
I thought it was a charge as well.
What?
So the double foul results in a jump ball.
There's a difference of opinion by officials. That's why it's ruled a double foul. And that's what we had right there. That's the first time I've seen that, Ryan.
That's why you keep coming back to the arena, you know. You just never know what you're going to see. Hawkins wins the tip. And that's a big one for Washington. As Connecticut has built some momentum here. Deladon waiting to check back in, and that's a turnover. Let's go back to that foul for a moment, Rebecca.
So you see Alyssa Thomas coming down. It looks like Hawkins has her feet set at the same time. Each official calls something different. And as a result, you get the double foul.
Tebow not enamored. 6-point game. Deladon back in for Washington. Williams looking for a screen. Williams going one-on-one. Her pull-up, no good. And Williams has struggled some in this second half. Just 3 points after 15 in the first half. Cloud open. A 3 is off. This game is really tight.
Yeah, it is. Shakina Strickland off the staggered screen once again. This time, Krista Tolliver able to get there.
6 to shoot. Morgan Tuck trying to force it up. What a difficult finish. Left hand high off the window. And after being down 17 towards the end of the third, it's a 4-point game.
Play through Elena Deladon. You would think she's got to get a touch.
She does. Elevates and hits.
That's MVP stuff right there.
18 for Deladon on 6 of 10 shooting. Williams lost it for a moment. 8 to shoot. Williams trying to take Deladon. Nice move, and she draws the whistle. Good individual offense from Courtney Williams.
Morgan Tuck has a championship pedigree coming from the University of Connecticut. And here, taking Emma Neeseman to the rim and then the other way. When Washington needs an answer, where do you go? That's an easy one. Your MVP.
The WNBA Finals 2019 is presented by YouTube TV and AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
Welcome Welcome back to the WNBA Finals 2019, presented by YouTube TV. What looked like it might turn into a laugher is suddenly set up for a close finish in Game 1 of these WNBA Finals in Connecticut has clawed their way back in this game with star Jonquel Jones on the bench.
Morgan Tuck has done a really nice job on both ends of the floor, and it's allowed them to play with their matchups a little bit to get Strickland off of Nieseman. Now Strickland back on Ariel Atkins. Can Washington take advantage of that?
Deladon working hard for the possession. Can't finish, but Cloud tracks down the loose ball. Tolliver, difficult look. In and out, and Tuck the box out.
We've talked a little bit about Strickland's struggles on the defensive end, but on this end of the floor, she really makes Christy Tolliver work.
Jasmine Thomas just has looked a little hurried in her shot attempts in this game. Now 3 of 13 from the floor. Connecticut does not have a player over 30 years old. Jasmine turns 30 on Monday. Let's take a listen in to Kurt Miller, Wire for Sound.
Hey, if we have to double, we've got to be rotating. Hey, rotate. And then everybody's rebounding. Hey, let's go. Make them feel us.
That's tremendous defense. Tremendous defense. It's just that much better offense by Elena Deladon. She plays at the pace she wants to play. No defender can make her speed up.
20 points now for Deladon to go at 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Tuck tried to force it in traffic. How about Strickland? Off on a 3. Tuck the offensive rebound, and it's out of bounds off of Washington. 12 to shoot for Connecticut, and now Jonquel Jones will check back in for Morgan Tuck. So it's Jones, Thomas, Strickland, Jasmine Thomas, and Courtney Williams for Connecticut. They're starting 5. Natasha Cloud, Ariel Atkins, Christy Tolliver, Emma Miesemin, and Elena Deladon for Washington. Jones' jumper is too strong. 6-point Washington lead. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the fourth quarter of Game 1.
There it is.
Open in the corner, Atkins. On a 3. The sophomore has been money today. Timeout, Connecticut.
Welcome back to Washington, where the Mystics lead Connecticut by 9. On this possession, on-ball screen, Connecticut switches. They flood the paint. Washington moves the ball around to find Atkins wide open. Ryan, similar defense that they saw in 4 games of the semifinals from Las Vegas. They've become very adept at finding that corner shooter and making the defense pay.
And that corner shooter, Ariel Atkins, has more points today than she did in the 4 games of the semifinals combined. Connecticut could use that one. They don't get it. Williams misfires. Quickly up the floor. Washington now feels like they have their grip back around Game 1. After Connecticut had cut it to 4 and had a chance to close it to 2. And Jasmine Thomas missed an open mid-range jumper. Shot clock down to 3. Miesemin rumbling in, hooking up, and can't get the roll. Atkins the offensive rebound and a reset for Washington.
Phenomenal clock management. And then you get the offensive board on top of it.
Tolliver to the rim. And Williams loses it out of bounds. A 7-0 Mystics run. Deladon making it in, insisting her way to the rim. Timeout, Connecticut. with Game 2 at 8 p.m. on ESPN. Then Game 3 will be Sunday, October 6th, back in Connecticut on ABC. Game 4, if necessary, will be Tuesday, October 8th, and Game 5, Thursday, October 10th, back here at Entertainment and Sports Arena, where the crowd has been terrific for the Mystics all season. Strickland can't hit the three. Williams trying to bat the rebound. Atkins stepped out of bounds. And Connecticut will keep the possession. But the Sun have missed their last 5 shots as Washington has gone on a 9-0 run after Connecticut had cut it to 4.
So much credit to both of these teams, because when it looked like Connecticut was going to get buried a couple times in this game, they came back. And Washington always had the answer to not give up the lead.
Now, Rebecca, I want to ask you this because we highlighted that the run for Connecticut came with Jonquel Jones on the bench. Has any of what Washington has been able to do in this run since Jones came back in, do you think any of that is the result of Connecticut going back to the big lineup?
I don't necessarily think so, because Connecticut still was getting good shots. They just weren't able to hit them, and you see Jones take a shot here. We talked about this a little in the LA-Connecticut series. As it related to LA, you're not going to win a championship with Jonquel Jones on the bench. You still got to go back to your MVP candidate in these moments.
First field goal. Just the 4-minute mark as Neesman lays it in.
What a back screen by Ariel Atkins to get Neesman that look. That play was drawn up in the huddle by Tebow, executed beautifully.
13-point lead for Washington. Williams cans a 3, her 5th of the game. Tolliver looked like she might have been tripped. Instead, it's a jump ball.
That's a foul.
Go back to the previous possession for Washington offensively. Right here, Ariel Atkins, back screen on Jonquel Jones. Beautiful job. Shakina Strickland has to call that screen and help off. That becomes your responsibility defensively, but whew, well drawn up, well executed. Great.
And now, does Connecticut have one last run in them? Williams and Tolliver to jump it up, and it's Washington who controls, and now a foul against Strickland. Connecticut did have a foul to give.
What do we want, though? What do we want?
One thing we've come
What
to
do we want
see
after?
from Connecticut throughout the course of the season and the playoffs is listen to Chrissy Tolliver. This team is going to continue to work, and they're going to continue to fight until there's no time left on the clock.
Alyssa Thomas, the engine that drives that, she has not sat in this game. Something we saw her do in Game 1 of the semifinals. Atkins carving and hitting. Ariel Atkins, a worthy Robin to Deladon's Batman in Game 1. That won't drop. Rebound underneath. Strickland gets another chance. Denied, but fell.
Ariel Atkins has been a different version of herself than we saw in the semifinals, coming in with tremendous confidence. We've seen this consistently, hitting threes from the outside, dancing and moving and getting around Shakina Strickland to get into the paint. She has been stellar here in Game 1.
Sports Center tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern with Kenny Mayne and John Anderson. They'll break down Pats Bills, which team went to 4-0, plus Cowboys Saints postgame coverage, as well as a closer look at Dak's performance and MLB playoff preview. Sports Center 11 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Atkins breaks the timeline, trying to evade a trap. Able to get it to Cloud. And now Strickland provides the foul, and it will send Tolliver to the line. Keep in mind, Washington, the best free throw shooting team in WNBA history.
That's why you don't want to get in these late game situations where you have to rely on Washington missing free throws to give yourself a chance. They don't do it. They don't miss.
Lefty.
unless they get the announcer jinx. And then they miss.
Give me that back, please. 1, 2.
Tolliver hits the second. Tolliver, 8th all-time in free throw percentage, 88% in her career. Strickland fires it. No. That goes out of bounds off of Washington. 47.5 seconds remaining in game 1. Mike Tebow wants a review. They can look at this. It's inside of 2 minutes. See if it hit Jones or Deladon.
So in any trap situation, we can't get it in here. All right, we'll take the timeout. They couldn't even hear me the last time when I'm yelling. All right.
The beauty is with Mike Tebow asking for this review, even if they don't get the ball, he gets an uncalled timeout here. He gets a chance to talk to his team through what he wants them to do when they inevitably get the ball back.
Looks like it hit. It might have hit Jonquel Jones last. Tied up with Deladon and Jones. Now remember, you need...
Or is it Elena's arm right there?
Clear and convincing evidence in order to overturn it. Yeah, you're right. It hit the left arm of Elena Deladon.
Yeah.
I'll go back to my optometrist. You don't need to. Connecticut retains possession with 47.5 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter.
What a game, though. What a well-played game 1 of the WNBA Finals.
Williams connects on another 3. Her 6th on 9 attempts. 26 for Courtney Williams, and Thomas applies some pressure. Mike Tebow wants a timeout. 8-point game, 37.2 seconds remaining. Washington with 1 timeout left after calling this one. And Rebecca, in this game, we saw Washington go on a run at the end of the first quarter, build a comfortable lead that grew as large as 17 late in the third. Then Connecticut cut it down to 4, had a chance to cut it to 2. Washington, though, has wrestled back control late in this fourth quarter. What have they done to do so?
Well, I think, first of all, you've seen the character of both teams. For Connecticut to continue to be able to come back when Washington has gone on those runs. And Washington showed their experience. They've been in this moment. You're not going to speed us up, all right? You've made your run now. We know it's time to make ours. Tremendous poise by Washington. Tremendous character by Connecticut to continue to fight throughout the course of this game.
How about the play of Ariel Atkins so far in game 1?
She's been outstanding. She played really well in the finals a year ago, and she's taken it up a notch here in game 1, especially considering how quiet she was in the semifinals, only averaging 4.5 points in those 4 games. Well, she's been all over the place here. Offensively, showing her skill set. Yeah, I can extend you and hit from 3. She can also take you off the dribble. Showed real toughness and poise here in her second finals.
Now, I believe Washington just took back-to-back timeouts. They did, so they will advance the basketball. Final 2 minutes, you are allowed to throw it into the backcourt in the WNBA on an inbound from the front court. An 8-point Washington lead, 37.2 seconds remaining. But remember now, they are out of timeout, so they will have to get this ball in.
Smart decision, though, because they only had 2 seconds left to get it over if they had inbounded in the backcourt.
Cloud, Deladon, Atkins, Tolliver, and Mieseman on the floor for Washington. Cloud finds Mieseman. Connecticut's going to have to foul, but there's really no good choice of who to foul. Now they just play the possession out. Cloud finds Mieseman, seeking a dagger, around it off, but the offensive rebound to guess who? Ariel Atkins. And now Williams will provide the foul, but it is all cosmetic at this point. The Washington Mystics will put the finishing touches on a Game 1 win.
Ariel Atkins. The game's almost over. Doesn't matter. She continues to attack. Look at her get inside. Elevate. Get on the inside of Alyssa Thomas. What a performance by her.
21 points, 5 rebounds for Atkins, who is 6 of 7 from the floor. Tolliver misses another free throw, so rare. And she hits the second. A 9-point Washington lead. Crowd rises to its feet. The Washington Mystics have